following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. New York City baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and we have a not quite full house. Robert Deininger is on assignment. Gene, the Yankee-hating machine Hutmaker, is here. Gene, how are you?
Yes.
How are you? You like your new nickname?
Yes, that's pretty much it.
And do you remember, you guys both remember, and Marty Rose is here too. Mert,
yes.
How are you?
Very good, thanks.
Good. Do you guys remember Gene, the dance machine from the Gong Show?
I don't know about that one, Ralph.
I know he was
right.
famous
How about you? That's why I named you that, but if you don't know who it is, Gene, then it's a useless nickname. You don't remember Gene?
No, I remember watching the show for some of the acts that they had on.
Oh, all right. Well,
it was pretty funny.
A stagehand, and he would come on and act out. He's a very funny guy, and he's no longer here. Chuck Barris is no longer here, but Juice is here. J.P. Morgone. Now let's talk baseball. We may be joined by Lenny Randall, and may not, but one way or the other, Marty tells me that Gene said that the Hall of Fame ballot was released. And indeed, how interesting is that? Start with you, Gene. What's on there that's interesting? Who is on there that's interesting?
Well, the new people that are considered pretty much of a lock are Chipper Jones and Jim Tomei. Vizquel is sort of a one of the other ones. Then they have Andrew Jones as a new one. Johan Santana, who they're trying. Some people on Facebook are trying to compare to a peak like Sandy Koufax, which I think is ridiculous. And then they have the old standby ones. They have the juicers on there, Bonds and Clemens, who seem to get votes due to the fact that some consider them Hall of Famers before they started needling. And, of course, you have Manny still hanging around, Sheffield, Sosa, some of the other juicers. And then you have
Palmeiro with the numbers under normal circumstances that would have gotten him in.
Who?
Palmeiro.
Yeah, but they consider him to be like in the Mark Grace type without the steroids. He'd be in that kind of a mold.
Okay.
I think Palmeiro dropped out.
He even dropped out
anymore.
They considered him
have the right
percentage
or something before.
Yeah, under the 5% you drop out.
Yeah.
Then
doesn't
Vladdy looks like a lot
have
this year.
Like 3,000 hits and 400 home runs?
500. Over 500.
500 home runs and 3,000 hits?
Yes, and he dropped out.
Wow. That's incredible, because someday they're going to have to consider the fact that everybody in the era that we're talking about was probably juicing. And if you can't compare these guys to other eras because of the juice, you certainly can compare them to their peers, those that they were players that they were playing with.
Well, people talk about Fred McGriff, who has as many homers as Lou Gehrig, hit 30 homers 10 times and 25 another 3. He only gets about 15% of the votes and would probably be considered one of the top power hitters of his era if it wasn't for the juices.
Well, comparing his numbers to Lou Gehrig is not really fair, because Gehrig's career was cut short so much. He would have had another
100.
At least another 100, right? Under normal circumstances. So,
but that was still considered like in the top 5 back when we were kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that was in the top 5, I think, McGarrick's amount.
When we were kids, Mel Ott held a home run
500
record for
11.
right-handers with 500 plus, and I just wonder when was the moment that 500 home runs ceased to impress, and because I think Sosa has
600 something.
Yeah, and he got 8.6% of the vote. 8.6.
I think the 500 is back again to some degree. Not as much as it used to be, but to some degree, because it's going to be hard to get it. Just think that the judge is 25 years old, and he has, 59 homers for his career. So he's going to have to, get, close to 50 homers a year for the next 10 years, because now people seem to be ending their career at 35, at 36, unlike the 40s of the people that used to juice.
Right. But, these people that used to juice were hitting against pitchers that were juicing.
Not all of them.
Not all the pitchers were juicing, but not all the hitters were juicing.
You have to, in my opinion, you have to go, it's like anything. If, say in college, you were cheating for your A's and you didn't get caught, well, you skate. And if you got caught cheating for your A's, you would be kicked out. So in any kind of endeavor, people can skate if they don't get caught, and they're not known to be a juicer. It depends on the density of the smoke for the allegations, and some of them are admitted and have been caught. Others that may have, like some people say Alomar and a couple other people, Piazza. It's not proven.
I kept Piazza out for 5 years.
No, 3 years. 3 years.
Okay, all right.
3 years.
But that flimsy allegation.
It depends on how deep the people look into it. There was one sports writer that I know that he was adamant about other players coming up to him and telling him that Piazza was juicing. So he would believe them players, I guess.
Okay. Well,
but that kept him out, and then I guess people realized that there wasn't enough. And even Manny Ramirez, I think, got 23% of the vote, which kind of surprised me last year, because the younger voters, as they get the 10-year eligibility to be considered to be a voter, have a different outlook on it, I believe.
Right, and the retired guys can't vote anymore. As Hal Bach was saying, once you've been out of the loop for I don't know how many years, you can no longer vote. So when the old guys can't vote, and there's more young guys coming in, they're more apt to vote for guys like Bonds and Clemens. As you see every year, their percentage is rising,
Bonds and Clemens, I think, are the poster boys for it. So as their percentage rises, I think the stigma of it, if you will, or the realization that everyone was doing it, or it was the era. And
but those guys were both Hall of Famers before the juice. You look at a guy like Sammy Sosa. To me, he's all juice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All juice.
Yes.
I have no respect for him. 0, 100, nothing. But
and then you have Larry Walker, who has the Coors stigma.
Yeah.
Larry Walker was like a 278, 279 hitter away from Coors, and he's like 370 at Coors.
That's why some guys were complaining this year about the MVP vote, leaving out 2 of the guys from Colorado. Well, it's Colorado. I mean, it obviously adds to their numbers. No question
was
about
391. He was 391 at Coors and 276 on the road.
Yeah.
And Coors is the only field that, has the air. You have Fenway, the Wall, you have the Yankee Stadium porch, you have Minute Maid at Houston, but the only thing that is really air affected is Coors.
Weren't they doing something with the balls to in these humidifiers?
They were putting them in a humidor.
Humidor, okay.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. But this year, the way the balls were
they
doctored,
don't do that anymore?
I don't think so. I don't think they do. But we spoke about this before about the baseballs this year, about how they were different. Pitchers couldn't get a good grip on them because the seams were lower and it was wound tighter. They went further. I mean, to me, that's an MLB conspiracy. You can't tell me that.
Absolutely.
They didn't know what they were doing.
They want home runs.
That took away the spin on the ball, according to it wasn't breaking as much without the seams.
Yeah, you can't
I'm not a
get the
scientist,
grip.
so I don't know the exact. But
yeah. But in any case, out of the new guys this year, I think Chipper gets in, and I think Tomey gets in, and I also think, based on what he got in his first year, that Vladdy Guerrero gets in.
He
just
deserves
last year.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah.
And he's got a kid coming up who's a number one prospect with someone, not the Mets. I'll tell you that.
No.
Yeah, I heard he has a son coming up.
May I ask you, Mert, what the chances are of the Mets acquiring someone to play first base? Or are they going to...
Yeah, well, from what I've been hearing, that they're not, 100% giving the job to the kid from last year.
Right.
They're not. But as far as acquiring a guy, I mean, I'd like to see them acquire Jay Bruce, who could play outfield
we're thinking along
and
the same
first
lines.
base.
Absolutely. He's proven he can play in New York.
And he doesn't want a ton of money. I mean, he wants obviously a good contract, but compared to what some of these guys make these days, he doesn't want a ton of money.
The way you said that first, it made me kind of smile.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
No, it's the way compared to everything else. But sometimes I just have to remind myself that it's almost monopoly money at this point.
Yeah, no, it is. 100%. It's terrible. Yeah. But as far as other guys that they might get, haven't heard a lot. There's a few names being tossed around.
Is Frazier, the Yankees, Frazier out there?
Todd Frazier?
Todd Frazier, right.
Well, he's the third baseman, and they could use a third baseman, but they picked up the contract of what's his name, who was playing. Flores is there. The other guy that was playing second. He started out at short, and then he went to second. He played some third. The guy whose contract they picked up.
Reynolds, Cicchini.
Flores? They still have Flores playing too, don't they?
Yeah, Flores is still there. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I mean, to me, the only position.
Are we talking about Cabrera, Marty?
Cabrera, I'm sorry. Cabrera. They picked up his year, his contract for next year, and I think they may play him at third, unless they sign somebody else. But because Flores can't play third, he could play second. I think that's about the only position that I think Flores could play. But in all likelihood, I wish they would pick up somebody like Todd Frazier or somebody else.
Are they happy with their catcher?
St. Louis has a bid for him, but wouldn't you like to get Stanton from Miami? Wouldn't that?
Why even discuss that?
I mean, with this.
Why even bring it up?
I mean, that money would come back at Met ownership tenfold.
They wouldn't go for it in a million years. You know it. And
plus
the fact he's got a no trade.
I know they won't, because it's those two people, the father and son, the Will Ponzis. I understand that, but just in general, wouldn't the logical argument, is this so illogical that you wonder how these people had the brains to accumulate X number of dollars to buy the team in the first place?
Real estate pays off, Ralph.
Yeah, right. And you don't have to be a particular genius to be a real estate to accumulate real estate. But I would think if you have a franchise in the number one market in the country, arguably, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
New York City.
Well, look, even if they had wanted to sign him and tried to, he has a no trade, and I don't think he wants to be here on the East Coast. I think he's a West Coast guy, and I think the Dodgers are interested. I don't know what they would.
I think St. Louis
offer.
And Gene might be up to date on this. I think they just put a big bid in for him.
They did, and he said he would not play in St. Louis or Boston. He said that. So
he excluded St. Louis as well.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, so he's got to go west and maybe the Giants. Yes, absolutely.
That could be in the cards too. Yes, yeah, right. They were mentioned. So
they were talking about the Phillies getting him and getting 100 homers in the Phillies park.
Wouldn't be surprised. But he's not staying on the East Coast.
Well, where is he from? He's from California?
I believe so.
They say he's from the West Coast. I thought he was from Puerto Rico.
Here's a West Coast name that might ring some bells. Bam Bam Mullins has been rumored. I think he came in for an interview with the Yankees.
Yeah, he did.
I think he was just promoted or changed from third base coach. He changed roles with Ron Wotus with the Giants.
He was a bench coach, wasn't he?
Right. He was going to be. He is going to be the bench coach with the Giants unless he gets a job somewhere as a manager. But my point is, when that happened, I said out loud on the Giants show, I said, I think they're grooming him to take over for Bochy because he's very well respected. He speaks a ton of languages. This is a game that's changing in the sense that you got to communicate with people that just don't speak like they're from Arkansas or Brooklyn. It's a changing world of baseball, and it's become international. What do you think the chances are? With that said, do you think he is a strong candidate for the Yankees?
They've interviewed so many guys. I don't know what they're looking for. Serious. Besides the guy that can move his head up and down, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. I mean, I don't know what they're looking for. I think Aaron Boone is a good candidate. He went in for an interview as well, and he really wants the job. I don't know if he's going to get it or not.
Right.
I saw the odds. Somebody put odds out. One of these baseball writers said Aaron Boone was like 10-1. But
I wonder what they had Mullins, because I really think that he'd be good. I mean,
he probably would be.
I know.
By the way, Stanton
how
is
well
from,
respected he is.
Stanton is from California.
Okay.
Giancarlo. Yeah, he went to high school in Sherman Oaks, California. He's from Panorama City, California, wherever that is. So, yeah, he may want to go back in that direction.
Well, he may, but the Dodgers just came up with the Rookie of the Year at first base. So
yeah,
that's something.
But Giancarlo is going to be in right field.
I thought he was going to sign as a first baseman for some reason. Okay.
I doubt it. I mean, they put him in right, and they move the other Cuban kid out to the left or something. Yeah, Puig. They could move him to left. I mean, that'd be unbelievable if they did that. I don't know what they'd have to give up to the Marlins, though. They'd have to give up a lot. No question.
It may be just they may be just looking for minor league guys, prospects coming up.
Well, it depends what your time frame is to be a contender. So we'll see.
Well, it's tough for the low market teams to keep their players and things like that, like Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. They're kind of hard to be maintain high payrolls.
Yeah, I don't know what the way they drew before. I don't know what Jeter expects. If he gives away a star like this. I mean, they didn't.
The thing I used to laugh at was when Ralph Tyko played with the Pirates and he wanted more money. Branch Rickey would say, "Well, we could finish in last place without you." But that was the only reason that people came to the game, was to see Tyko, because the team was so bad. Without him, they would have probably got like 10 people a game.
That's true. Well, we'll find out. It's tough. I don't know.
It being Cabrera, has he already? We were talking before about the guy, this utility, him in a utility role. Has he already signed, or is this just an offer?
No, they picked his option up. He had to do
okay. So he will definitely be back.
There was a team option for 2018, and the Mets picked it up. So he's definitely back.
Good.
And
good.
So they got
solid guy who can move around.
And they got Flores,
which frees it up for Flores.
And they got Rosario.
Really a dud everywhere else but first. To kind of platoon with Dominic Smith until...
I heard Hosmer's name being thrown around. I believe he's a free agent.
I think I heard that Kansas City wants to sign he and Moustakas both.
I would think they probably would.
I would, but they're making a...
The Mets are not going to outbid anybody. The Mets aren't going to outbid anybody, any team for anybody.
And the Red Sox are after J.D. Martinez with his 45 homers, figuring that he would really be able to bang the green monster. And
no question.
They really need a big pappy type hitter.
They do.
Okay, well, now that you're here, Gene, and talking about stuff, and you are a Cardinals fan, they've been down for a couple of years. And like we were talking about, since the 60s, they have been not down for 2-3 years much over these years. Are they on the right track to rebuild?
Well, it depends. They kind of going what they have. They were in the mix for till pretty close to the end in the mix for the Central, but they didn't have a really good September, so so they'll be going depends if they keep Lance Lynn. That's a big thing there. Because you got to have the pitching. I mean, Houston doesn't win it without Verlander.
Okay. Now, speaking of pitching, the Mets have come out with something in the last week or so that has got to make us scratch our heads. They don't want pitchers facing batters for the third time. And they're going to really try to curtail injuries. This is how they're looking at it, by drastically lowering the pitch count. To try to keep guys healthy.
Well, they're not going to. I can't see them doing that when DeGrom is pitching or when Syndergaard is pitching. I mean, how many guys are they going to have in the bullpen that are any good? You can do that like the Dodgers did it because they had a great bullpen. Right. Now, who are the Mets bringing in the fifth inning or the sixth inning when you got 4 more innings to cover. I mean, every day? I don't think so. You know, it sounds nice, but it's not feasible. You can't do that all the time.
And I wonder if it does sound nice with the idea of the more you pitch, the stronger you get. You know, Marichal, Spawn, those kinds of examples.
Well, unless he has them throw more in between starts. That's another thing. Who knows?
Didn't Bobby Bragan or something try that, like for 3 innings for each pitcher or something, back with the Cubs or something?
I think Dark might have
like that.
tried that with the Giants. He tried something that was revolutionary and didn't last very long. But I didn't recall that Bobby Bragan did manage the Cubs for a while. Very interesting career, Bobby Bragan.
Yeah.
He was one of those that was originally going to sign the petition to keep Jackie out. And he went from there to turning his career around in terms of humanity and how he approached other players, and was Maury Wills's manager in the minors, and ended up getting him to be a switch hitter and teaching him to get on base. And he'd been a long time, 9 years he'd spent in the minors, and Bragan turned his career around. But, yeah, he did manage the Cubs, too, way back then.
Well, they have all the analytics, too, where they're saying how bad pitchers are. You always hear it on the TV. Once they face the lineup for the 3rd time, they get hit more, for the most part.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely true. Yeah,
that is true. No question. And
but again, it comes back to the bullpen.
They don't have the conditioning to get into those late innings, and they're petering out. It's not that. Yeah. But, you know, it's not just like the Yankees, the Mets, or your team, St. Louis, facing these things. Everybody in baseball is facing these questions about pitching. And
well, in the World Series, in my opinion, when they pulled Hill after 4 innings the first time, that blew the whole bullpen out for the rest of the series. That started the whole thing.
Very good point.
Really. So it just sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. I guess in a 7-game series where you got to do the same thing every day with a couple of days off for travel, it's different. But still, we don't even know who's in the bullpen for the Mets. I mean, these guys they had a terrible bullpen last year and haven't made any moves yet this year. So you're not going to be able to.
Well, they did sign Blevins. They re-signed Blevins.
Yeah, right. They did that, and they got Familia coming back, and they got was it Ramos? He's back, I believe.
Right. We got Lugo, maybe.
Well, one of those guys is going to be in the bullpen. You can't if everybody's healthy. But we said that last year too. Remember we were saying who's going to be their 8th starter? I remember that question. I do. I remember that question. Who's going to be their 8th starter? And it turned out
really seriously have to say
turned out to be their
3rd starter going in now.
Yeah. The 8th starter was Montero. And he wound up at the end of the year being what? The 4th starter? 5th? I don't know what he was.
Yeah.
Everybody was hurt, so.
I think they outrighted Gazilman, if I'm not mistaken. That was a terrific disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
But
people forget they were just in the World Series a few years ago.
That's true. And look, we had some good news on Conforto this week.
Yes, we did.
He's going to be ready for spring training, and that is a biggie. And I'm combining that with the idea that Cespedes has taken the stance that he's going to do something proactively, training-wise, so that every 15 days he's not pulling a hamstring and he's out.
Well, they're going to be very big on hydration. They're going to make sure. That was one of his problems. He never drank any water. So, yeah, that was one of the things I read, that they said that they're going to make sure everybody is properly hydrated. And that's a big problem with pulling muscles, apparently.
You would think, and not just the Mets, but that would be something kind of basic to, I mean, you see tennis players with bottles of water.
Well, you know about the training staff, Ralph. You don't have to, the Mets training staff.
They're coming back, or the head of it.
The head guy's gone.
Okay.
I think Ramirez. I think he's out of there. But the rest of the training staff is coming back. But as long as they have a new guy that's going to, change the basics there, give them a new direction, so to speak. So that should happen.
Right.
Thankfully.
Hey guys, we've reached the end, and as usual, it's been.
Yeah, I got one anecdote before we go, Ralph.
Pardon
me? One anecdote before we go. So I'm on Twitter, and there's something tweeted out by Yogi Berra's granddaughter, and she says that she's watching. This goes back a couple of years. She's watching a game with her granddad, and she's explaining to him about the replays now. How the manager can ask for a replay, and they go look at the tape, and blah, blah, blah. And Yogi looks at her, and he goes, "You mean Jackie would have been out?" I thought that was cute.
That is absolutely beautiful. That he believed it with all his heart. The way he jumped up and reacted, there's no way he didn't. Whether he was safe or out, Yogi thought he was out.
No question.
And they won the game anyway. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
They won the game. It's all moot. They won the game. Who cares?
Yeah, but it was a classic in history.
Being an anti-Yankee fan, they won a lot of games where stuff did matter. But let me, as long as we're talking about some of the reasons they won, I had Billy Martin. Billy Martin's, he doesn't go by Junior. He's Billy Martin because his dad was Alfred Martin, and he didn't name the kid Alfred because he hated his own dad. He named him Billy. And Billy has been a friend of the show for a long time, and I had him as a guest on Peter Golenbach's show last night, and we were talking about his dad, how because we were speaking about the Yankees winning all the time, and how his dad came up big. And there are players that come up big in big games, World Series games, this, that, and the other thing. And he did Billy Martin Sr. He outplayed Jackie Robinson in all four of the World Series that they played against each other. And Billy Martin was just one of those guys that you talk about overachievers, and his name has to be in the right next to the word overachiever in the dictionary. This guy came up big in big games. So
he made the catch in 52. He made that famous catch with the bases loaded.
Right.
And then in the 53 World Series, he set the record with 12 hits.
Right. And ironically, later comes along Bobby Richardson, who broke more World Series records, a whole bunch of them, and won a car and everything. So it isn't the superstars that always determine the winner of big games and World Series.
Brian Doyle. Yeah.
Yes. And there's a name. A guy who just... Hey, Dusty Rhodes in the first World Series that I remember watching.
Yep. 3 home runs.
Absolutely.
He just comes up. He pulls a series out of the air, so to speak.
He won like three of them 4 games he won with his bat, that Dusty Rose.
Right. And
that was the first one I really remember.
Series of Willie's catch that sent guys back into scoring position with the great throw that went with it. He kept them out of scoring position and kept the double play in order. I was hoping Lenny would have been here because this evening. We'll catch him another time because he was coached by Willie when he played with the Mets. And he has some great stories about Willie and Joe Torre and all that.
He's a funny guy too.
Yeah, very funny guy, and one of the most upbeat, positive guys. Where every day is just every day's a holiday, and tomorrow's Sunday. So
nice.
Nice way to go.
You mean it isn't?
That could have been either of you talking. I didn't hear who that was because I know Marty and I were. You're still working, aren't you, Gene?
Yeah, I'm a school security and I do all the athletic events.
Okay, but it's not really work for you.
So it's a hobby.
Yeah, cool. Nice way to go through our middle years, gentlemen.
Yep. I wish they were middle.
Well, let's keep them middle. You got to look to the long term. In doing this network thing, with this podcast network thing, I've had interviews with upwards of 5 guys, Bobby Brown, the late Bob Wolf, and three or four other guys whose names I can't think of off the top of my head, who are over 90, and as Marty says, not only do they have their marbles, but they have a bag to keep them in. It doesn't leak. So that's what I'm hoping we can get to be 90 plus with our brains, because what with the age that we live in, they're doing things to keep us alive. Hopefully, genetic stuff coming up, stem cell shit. I don't know. Let's live forever until we don't want to live anymore. That's the goal. Okay, guys. We'll be back next week.
Okay.
Fully Zoned Radio Network, New York baseball, past, present, future. Mert, what can I say? It's only been 60 years for us.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
More than that.
Keep it going.
More than that. Let's keep it going.
Okay.
Gene, thanks for joining us. You are an additive to the show, and this is turning out great. We'll have Robert back to join us next week. And hopefully Lenny, have another promise. Duffy Dyer is going to come back to the airwaves real soon.
Wow.
He was a former ASU guy, as was Lenny Randall. And so we got good things coming up in the Hot Stove League. And thanks for being a part of it, guys. And thanks for listening out there. By the way, if you like our offerings, please put together some lightly used children's books, put them in a carton, and take them down to the Head Start program in whatever city you live in. There's a Head Start program. Help get kids reading and ready for school. Talk soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you next time. Adios.